Hello, hello. Hi. All right. So, hello, everyone. So, I'm going to jump right into this. And for those who join in, you'll just join in as you come into the live. So, on today's live, I am streaming from two platforms, that's Facebook and Instagram. So, if you see me look down and up, that is why. What I am going to be talking about on this evening is three ways to enhance your e-church experience. So this is for all of my church leaders, or even if you are a church goer and you can share this information with your leaders, this will be something good for you all to stick around and listen to. All right. So again, this live is all about three ways to enhance your e-church experience. So if your local church congregation was on the fence about producing any type of live content, whether it was streaming Sunday service, doing online Bible study or Sunday school, the 2020 coronavirus or COVID-19 has really pushed all of our ministries to think outside of the box and to think digitally. So inside of that, I took a look at several streams on this past Sunday after I watched my church service, of course, just to see what were some other churches doing as they were streaming online and reaching their congregation in a new way, right? E-church. So this was our first full e-church experience all across the nation. So we know that some churches have a component that is e-church, and they have a online community that comes together through throughout their time inside of that particular ministry. So with this, I did see some of these things be done extremely effective. And then I also saw some things that had some tech issues or could have been enhanced better. So that's why I'm doing this live on tonight. So there are three things that I want to talk to you all about. So you know that I love my three things to talk about. So three things that I want to talk to you about as to how you can enhance your e-church experience will be the following. The first is setup. So it's all about the setup. What does your setup look like as you begin to live stream and as you begin to stream your service? So with this, one of the things that I noticed is that the camera was focused in on the minister, but there was so much what we call white space or dead space around that person's head or around their body. So that means that the focus or the focal point for someone who may have been watching could drift on and off based on what they see in the background, or if there are other things or persons in the background while the preacher or the pastor is speaking. So you want to use the camera to zero in on the leader who is speaking at the time, okay? So all you have to do is to just zoom in just a little bit to capture just a small amount of space around that person so that all of the attention and the details and the focus is on the ministry leader or on the preacher or pastor who is talking at that time. So, another thing that you can use inside of the setup process can be pipe and drape. So, behind a lot of our ministers when they speak is going to be a choir stand. So, because we don't have our choir in the choir stand, because everyone is at home streaming the service, a way to think about optimizing that space is to use pipe and drape, okay? So to use pipe and drape to help narrow in on the preacher or pastor. Inside of the setup process, one thing that is going to be critical is your lighting. So lighting is extremely important. So you don't want the service to seem very dim because you're only using the lights that are within the sanctuary and the natural lighting that is coming through the windows. So you can go ahead and purchase a 3-point lighting kit via Amazon or any other online source. What that 3-point lighting kit does is that it brings in and enhances the light on the preacher or pastor. So with this, you have a light that is off to each side of you, and then you have a light that is to the front of you. So that helps to cast away any type of shadows that may be existing in the church. As well as to enhance and to make the visuals more lively, okay? So that first thing again is setup. That setup is really important. So you want to tighten the camera to empty or to get rid of any empty or dead space. You want to use pipe and drape to, again, enhance the focal point on your preacher or pastor. And then you can also use lighting to enhance the quality of your video-based content, okay? Lighting makes video absolutely amazing. The second thing that I do want to share is the power of your captions. So you don't want to just go live and all we see is a video. You need to be able to tell us some type of information that can be housed in the content of your video or in the caption of your video. So you want to add powerful captions. When we think about this as a church, those powerful captions could include one of three things. So that could be one, the sermon title, your pastor's name, and the date of that live stream. This is important. So if anyone goes back to rewatch, to play, they can have all of the most important details up front. The second thing is that you want to list ways to give. So you want to list ways to give. Even though we are in the middle of a crisis, your tithes and your offering is still important. So you want to make it easy for your members to be able to give online. So when you go live, make sure that your giving or ways to give is listed inside of that caption. So that can be including any type of direct links. That can be including any type of mobile apps that you use for this particular part of your service. And then within powerful captions, you want to ask your members to share your stream. So if you ask your members to share your stream, that is going to help to enhance, right? Or to increase the number of viewers who are watching your stream. So this is good because a lot of people are at home during this time. So because they're at home, they are scrolling on social media. So you want them to come across your ministry streaming online on Sunday so that their lives can be impacted and enhanced by the message. Okay? This is the perfect time now more than ever to use digital technology in order to reach the masses, right? We were called to go and share the gospel. So using social media and encouraging your church members to share your stream is a way to do that. So the third thing that I do want to talk about is going to be troubleshooting. So you want to find a stable live stream host and you want to test before Sunday. So I saw a lot of ministries testing before Sunday, and that's something that's good. You want to test before you go live. This will help you to work out any kinks that may be in the way when you are getting ready to stream on Sunday morning. So you want to eliminate any error. So you want to make sure that you test. And I did see a lot of you doing that. So good job. Keep doing that. You also want to do a sound check. So even though you're testing your technology to see how it looks, to see if when you hit that button, it actually goes live. But if you are using any type of advanced technology to stream, such as Boxcast or any other live streaming platform, you want to make sure that you test your audio. So if you have your band playing and your choir singing, you want to make sure that that comes through crystal clear to your end users so that it sounds good when they're listening to it, not just that it sounds good in the church, okay? So you want to make sure that you play it back and you can hear what that sounds like as you are streaming to your congregation. In this troubleshooting process, I saw a lot of churches using Facebook. So I know that Facebook is the easy option for us to use because it's free and it's readily available, and this is where your members are. One thing that I want you to really take into consideration is that Facebook is not owned by you or your ministry. This is owned by a corporation. So that means that the content that you produce, if and in at any reason they decide that it goes against their community standards, they can take it down. If and when they decide that your page may be abusing their community standards, they can completely delete your page. So you do not want to solely depend on platforms like Facebook or Instagram to stream your service. You want to be able to look at other hosting platforms for you or other live streaming platforms for you to stream your service. Last week I talked about Boxcast, but there are other streaming services that you can use. If you continue to use Facebook, I want you to go in and save all of your video content to your computer so that you can archive that if something ever happens to that content. Again, we do not own these platforms, so if they decide that they want to take our page down or take our content down, there's nothing that we can do about it, and then we lose everything that we did. So you want to make sure that you either find a hosting or a live streaming service that you can use outside of social media. Or if you are going to continue to use social media, you need to go ahead after your stream stops to save that video to your device so that you can reuse it and so that you can archive it, okay? The last thing I want to talk about inside of this troubleshooting is that actually, I just talked about it. So with that, I was talking about the fact that we don't own the content on social media is what I wrote down. So I do want to encourage you all to think outside of the box. I want you to think outside of the box in this live streaming time that we're in. So one of the ministries that really stood out to me on this past Sunday was Triumph Church in Detroit, Michigan. So while most churches went towards live streaming as a way to reach their congregation, Triumph Church flipped this concept with a completely different approach. They held 3 morning services with a old school concept. And that old school concept was to have what they called drive-in worship. So much like drive-in movies were back in the day, they had drive-in worship. And here's what they did. So they placed a large projector screen in the church's parking lot, asked the members to register for which service they wanted to attend so they can control the space as well as to make sure that they address the health issues that we are currently facing. The third thing they did was members parked their cars in the parking lot facing a large screen for broadcast. Then they tuned or turned their radios to a particular station in order to hear that broadcast. And then the pastor delivered the Sunday message. So they had a full worship experience on the grounds of the church while in their cars, live streaming the service and listening to it by way of radio. So I really thought that that was innovative and out of the box thinking as we are in the mix of a crisis. I read an article that said over 300 church members were able to gather together in their cars in the parking lot in drive-in worship to worship together over those 3 services. So that was something that was really out of the box that took live streaming to a new level. But I wanted to share that because it encourages you. It encourages you to really think outside of simply streaming on social media. Okay, simply streaming on social media. So I'm going to conclude this video by inviting you to attend my virtual office tomorrow. So if you are a minister, if you are a preacher, a pastor, if you are a church leader, I want to encourage you to go ahead, click the link in my bio on Instagram, or click the link inside the caption on Facebook to save your spot for my virtual office. This is where you can ask me any questions that you have as it relates to your church, using social media and digital technology to continue to reach your members during this time and beyond. So make sure that you click that link to join my virtual office. Bring your coffee and you can ask any questions that you have as it relates to enhancing your e-church experience for your ministry. So thank y'all for joining. Someone asked me on Instagram, do I do consultations? Absolutely. Yes, I do. Please go ahead and click on my profile. And there is a book button. And when you click that book button, it opens up to my calendar and you can lock in a 15-minute discovery call with me and I can chat with you at that time. For those who are watching on Facebook, the question was, do I do consultations? The answer is yes. In order to lock in my calendar, the link is workwithkeishak.as.me. So that's .as.me. Workwithkeishak.as.me, and that takes you to my calendar. Use the option for a 15-minute discovery call, and then we can get on the phone and I can chat with you further about your needs, and then we can go from there. So you're welcome. If you all have any questions, or if you're just joining and just jumping in, make sure that you go back to my page, you rewatch this. I address 3 ways to enhance your e-church experience. I talked about setup, I talked about powerful captions, and I talked about troubleshooting. So make sure that you replay this if you're just joining. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to send me a message on Facebook, to send me a DM on Instagram, and join me tomorrow during my virtual office hours to ask me any questions that you have if you are a preacher, pastor, ministry leader, as it relates to using social media and digital technology in your church during this particular time and beyond. I look forward to speaking with you all soon, and I hope you have a great evening. Bye-bye.